Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Infinite Sauce Talk. And now I'm decided to name it like that because I'm always talking about sauce when somebody says something great, something gravy, something decent. Not even decent, because decent is just regular. But like something very valuable to that'll make your like face cringe and everything like that. Not in a bad way, like if it's something nasty or something like that. In a good way, like you know what I mean. When you feel something powerful that's in your soul, and you accept it when your soul hits like that truthful moment, and you have this ugly face, like you accept it. That's exactly how it feels. Like, and then when I catch to that moment and it's like, yo, that's some sauce. And I be saying that because sauce is somebody had this notorious meme. Not even a meme, but I think it was a recording. It was a Best Buy employee on top of that, and he was describing juice and sauce. Juice is just, you got the juice, something like, but sauce lasts. Like in a metaphorical way, like sauce makes everything better. Juice is something that's temporarily quenching your thirst and you're good, but sauce makes you remember things. That's why I say sauce, and that's why I think the perfect fitting for this, and I think future episodes, and I feel like this is gonna go a long way, is infinite. So that's why I said infinite sauce talk. So I'll keep it at infinite sauce talk for right now. I feel like it's a fit. IST fire. We're gonna keep it that way. So I talked to my cousin today, and we had this idea of doing this because we want to share our experiences and basically give a positive outcome towards it, not only because of our stories, but also to teach and to teach things where certain aspects of life that we're going to talk about, certain things that we go through. Anybody that has overcome that, it is a blessing and a benefit for somebody to share their story and also how they overcome that so that another person can learn from their experiences. So I talked to him today and he was like, "Oh, we should do an introduction thing first." And I was like, nah, we're not about to do no introduction. For what? Well, I'm going to do an introduction for when somebody is trying to listen to the words and the teachings of things. So I said, I'm not going to talk on my ass and become like just a voice. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Ralph. I come from a little neighborhood called Per Fanboy. And there's a couple things that I went through my life, normal kid, you know, obviously went through my own share of things and my own experiences. And I can definitely try to steer people in the right direction through my scars and my emotions and things that I've seen throughout life and just things that if it's about healing, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? And if it's also about getting somebody better or being better within ourselves as well, I'm with it too. So that is me in a little gist. And like I said, I'm not gonna take too long with the introduction because I feel like this is gonna be one of those topics where from gate and this is from the gate. This is going to be one of the most powerfulest. And powerfulest is not even a word. Most powerful topic that I have spoken in a while. So I talked to my cousin today because we had this idea, but obviously, like I told you in the introductory, and if you didn't hear the introductory, basically, we try to plan things and it usually stays at plans. It usually stays in that planning mode. And it takes a lot of courage for people to go through the do phase. And in that phase, you have to be courageous enough to take that chance to do it. And obviously, it took a while. I think this has been years that we were talking about this. And he was also another one. I talked to him about it, but he was also another one to never say nothing. So I usually would be pulling the decisions and being like, "Let's do this." All right, cool. Because I was always taught to never fear things that you want to do. If you fail, you fail. If you succeed, all it takes is once to succeed. You're going to fail many times, but in the end, it's going to be a rewarding experience because you will learn from those failures and eventually get a chance to succeed. So I took the chance of getting this whole thing situated and actually setting this up so that we can do this. So I spoke to him today, and I asked him, I was like, yo, all due respect, yo, since I got this going now, what topic you want it to be? The man hit me with one of the craziest topics I have seen, and nearly, I have not seen this now. There's TikTok, Instagram, all types of things, and I never really hear it. But the topic he wanted me to talk about was father issues, father issues in the Spanish community, also father issues with anybody in general. But he wanted for me to go through the process of how we went through things and how we went through it and overcame adversity, and show ourselves as men that we can actually be vulnerable and not seem soft. Because there's a lot of issues with uh, people showing emotion, and especially with men. Men in general, like, have this stigma, and I think this comes from generations of, if you show not even a soft side, an emotional side, or something from deep within, you're considered soft. And I don't feel like that is a right move in terms of judging somebody. I feel like people need to speak more on their emotions, speak more on their feelings and everything like that. So, in terms of men, like I said, in TikTok and Instagram, I haven't really seen people talking about their pops like that. Where they get these issues from, and I usually see like podcasts about, relationships, women and men always having debates on why women are not prepared for relationships, or why men are treating women as a certain thing. Like, we always see those type of debates, but we never see usually the roots of why people go through these things. And when he said this topic, I was a little bedazzled. I don't think that's the word. Like, there's that meme where it's like all types of equations go into somebody's head and it's going all around, and you're looking up like, what do I figure out? How do I do it? But the first thing that popped in my head to that organized my mind to speak about first thing is traumatic experiences where they basically open up the chance for you to make lifetime mistakes, or great lessons that you can learn from life. And a lot of times when we go through these traumatic experiences, we don't resolve the issue at hand. A lot of times we eat it as men alone. And I can only speak on men because I'm a man. But in terms of like females too, I've seen from experience from my eyes, like, usually the roots of what happened was never resolved in a progressive manner. It wasn't resolved throughout time. It was more of, it was held in because society made us hold these things in. So a lot of times when we go through it, we kind of suppress ourselves to go through life and achieve whatever you want to achieve, and still have those roots that are not. And I want to compare it to like a tree. So if a tree doesn't have a good foundation, the tree will fall, or a tree will break down and everything like that. So in that aspect, as a human being, if your roots are not strong, whenever you go through a certain situation, you won't know how to handle it. There are times where even me, in the present tense, sometimes I tense up too, because even as well balanced as I try to be, and I can only say try to be, I'm not gonna say can be, because we still learn every day. But as balanced as I can be, there is situations where, so going to a defense mechanism. So there are layers that we put up to try to defend things. And this is part of roots. So when you build your defensive layers, you don't want somebody to get you angry or anything like that. So you build certain defensive layers. There are certain situations where traumatic experiences will skip all those layers and trigger you quickly. And a lot of times that's what we need to work on. And progressively throughout life, when we go from adolescence to adulthood, we don't know how to handle that. Those are certain things that we are just suppressed on. So we're open to lifetime mistakes. We're open to lessons that we have to learn throughout living this life. And that is called life in itself, because we learn to be better sons, we learn to be better fathers, we learn to be better mothers, we learn to be better daughters, we learn to be better people to the people that we love and we care for. So in the recommending part of father issues, and I'm gonna go deep into it because I can only speak on my experiences. So I'm gonna go deep in mine because I'm brave enough to do it, and I want to make sure that you can learn just by my situation, or you can even oversee it and compare, or not even compare, but like take different aspects of different people and try to learn from it or adapt, or use this as a tool to help you out. So before I continue, I'm going to go over an outline of what I think people should do, not only in situations like these with father issues or anything like that, but kind of like in life in general. So I wrote down a couple of things. I think it's 5 things, but you could squeeze plenty of things in there, or if you could take out things, that's up to you. But this is what I think we need to do as individuals to better ourselves and be better, basically. Be a better you. Improve every day. So these 5 things I wrote down. 1, recognize. We all got to recognize the issue somehow, some way. If we don't recognize the issue and we keep repeating it, they usually call it narcissist. Sometimes in our Spanish community, with men towards women, is machista. There's a couple other words, but recognize. We need to recognize a problem before anything, because if you don't know you have a problem. Recognize that there is an issue at hand, something that bothers you or something that you're going through. You have to say it out loud. And I think that is one of the hardest things, and it's crazy how it sounds, but it's one of the hardest things to do, because a lot of people have pride. A lot of people have basically a strong defense mechanism that they won't allow that. They be like, I'm good. I've seen, to be honest, in my life, I've seen so many people tell me I'm good. Seeing so many people tell me, yo, we're valid, we're straight, like, yo, I'm good, we out here. Then I seen you not good. I seen people say that to me and struggle. I seen people say that to me and die. Like, there is, or overdose, however, like, you want to put it. Blank, I'm good, but blank. That's usually how it is. And this is in not only in rural areas or anything like that. I think this is in general. We just need to recognize what the issue is. Once you get it out your chest that you recognize, then the second part comes in. The second part is forgiveness. And that's not only forgiveness to the other person or somebody that hurted you. And even in that situation, that is very difficult for somebody. If somebody does wrong to me, we as humans are like, yo, why am I forgiving them? They did something to me purposely. So why am I forgiving them? But in my line of work, in my line of belief, in my line of love and spirituality, even if that person did something to me, I have to forgive them. The reason is because it's not about them doing the action to you. It's you keeping that same issue internally. And when you keep it internally, you don't have the same control that you would have if you handle the situation correctly. So a lot of times when we look at somebody that did something wrong to me, let's say for example, somebody did me wrong, right? I could be mad a bit, I could be upset, and I have every right to be. But that gift was given to me. Somebody betrayed me, somebody lied to me, somebody hit me with a water bottle, something random or anything in general. That is something that they gave to me as a gift. And we call it gift. The reason is because there was a story. My mom was telling me this. God bless my mom, by the way. Love her to death. Excuse me, to life. Because, I mean, she's here. So, to life. But she was telling me a story about a Mongolian monk. I think it was one of those Asian country monks. And they have like this folklore of somebody walking up to a person, or excuse me, a monk, and they was trying to curse them out or give them all types of gripe about something. And the monk stood silent. And there was somebody else on the background overseeing this. And the person that was in front of the monk was trying to disrespect them, trying to yell at them, trying to throw all types of like tantrums to throw the monk off. And the monk is just looking at him like smiling, like, hey, how you doing? Like if he's deranged or something like that, it doesn't affect him. So eventually the person that was trying to degrade the monk, disrespect the monk, dipped, they left, and everything like that. And the person that was observing this asked the monk. And he said to the monk, he said, why didn't you respond to him? Why didn't you give him what he deserved? And the monk responded to him in a very eloquent way. He said, he was trying to give me a gift of disrespect. He was trying to give me a gift of not being nice to me. And if I take that gift, I accept it. So I declined what he was trying to give to me because then it won't affect my soul. And I was like, whoa, that is a powerful story because the monk didn't accept that. But we're not, a lot of people are, that's a monk. A monk is trained to be peaceful. A monk is trained to get their nirvana. And when we're talking about monks, we're talking about the Asian, the Tibets. If we're talking about monks in like Catholic church, Christian church, they get their peace through Christ or God or whatever you can think of in terms of peace. Monks in general try to achieve that. But we are not all monks. We are human beings. So a lot of times we accept that gift. And a lot of times we react. Instead of thinking about it and be like, yo, maybe this person went through something and that's why they tripping. We accept it and then we start reacting different. And it throws us off of our peace, our tranquility, ourselves, and everything like that. So the essential reason why I say forgive, the second part, going back to the second part, is because one, there is a verse in the Bible that says, actually it's the prayer, forgive those who trespass against us. A lot of people don't, forgive those that they do not know. That's how it is, because a lot of times they do not know how they're reacting. It is a human trait that people sometimes do not know how to react, and then they control it after the fact. And a lot of times it's too late after the fact. And that's why we need to forgive. First, we need to recognize that there's an issue. Then the second part is forgive. Forgive those who do not know. Forgive those who aggravate you, who violate you, who do all types of things towards you. You forgive them. Not only because you're forgiving them as a person, but you forgive yourself for accepting that. That's the reason why the second part I say is forgive. First, recognize that there's an issue. Then forgive not only that person or whatever thing is affecting you, but forgiving yourself and accepting that and taking it. So 2, 3, and I think people don't even get to this part. They don't even get to the second part, but sometimes they teeter-tot between the first 2. The third one is heal. Healing is a process where you have to sit down and have an hour body experience and look into yourself and being like, okay, this happened to me. Cool. Recognized. Now I need to work on how do I get over it. So how do I get over with myself? Forgive myself for letting that get to me, forgiving that person for doing that to me. And now how do I get that I've overcome this and heal and take time to learn from these things. Healing is not only just sitting down, chilling, playing dominoes, playing Fortnite, the OG Fortnite, whatever, and letting life will go by. No, healing is the essence of looking into yourself and seeing what needs to be fixed. That's healing. Healing in itself is fixing, but in a calmer way. That after everything, after the eye of the storm came through, after you went through Hurricane Sandy through your life and everything like that, you had to realize, okay, cool, what is the next steps? And healing intertwines with number 4. Healing is a time to assess. That is healing. And also going back into your regular life with that knowledge and lesson from the first 2. So recognize, forgive, healing, the time of you assessing. 4 is intertwined with 3. So 1, 2, 3 healing, 4 is taking action. Taking action basically is seeing what to do in order for 1, even if that situation arises again, you know how to handle it. And 2, not letting that get to you. So taking action and healing intertwines with each other because they kind of place the baton on one another. I'm healing. Okay, I'm trying to get from point A to point B. The assessment of point A and point B, going into a state where, okay, I can get there with work. How do I work through it? That's taking action. So 3 and 4 intertwine with each other. They pass the batons to each other in terms of situations. Healing, when you fully heal, you learn from the situation and that situation will not affect you again. Now, a lot of times, 3 and 4 people could get stuck. Like I said, 1 and 2 people get stuck. 3 and 4 can get stuck as well because some people in this life heal different than others. So 3 and 4 can intertwine quickly, or you could be stuck at healing, or you could be skipping healing and going and taking action and forget about healing. Those are essentially hand in hand. Those are the 3rd and 4th leg of a 1600. I think a 1600, if I can remember, is 8 laps. So the person that runs the 5th, 6th, and then hands off to the 7th and 8th lap runner. Those go hand in hand with each other. If you do it correctly, you learn the lessons of life, and those things won't affect you again. People get stuck between, like I said again, between recognize and forgive or healing and action. So we have recognize, forgive, heal, and take action. Now, I'm not going to go through much of it because I feel like this is a guideline. Like I said, you could tweak it. This is my version of it. You could tweak it however you want. But there is an extra one that if you get all 4 and that you're in the stage where you're teaching people or you're advising people, look, I went through this situation. This is my life. This is how I went through. You can take these lessons and see and learn from it. Number 5 is a very great way of spreading this knowledge and wisdom that you have from the situation to other people. Number 5 is break the curse. Now, from the beginning, since I've been talking a lot about the outline of getting through things, the beginning I stated about father issues in the Spanish community. Since I'm Peruvian, my cousin is Peruvian Mexican. Like, we seen it through the Spanish communities. Like I said, I can only speak on my experiences and everything. So we seen it in our community where a lot of us have father issues. Whether you deny it or not, we have some type of father issues somehow, some way. So in order to break the curse, we cannot repeat what has been done to us, what has transpired through our life. We cannot repeat that through our children. We have to be the curse breaker in terms of these situations, so that when you raise your kids, when you raise the future, when you build a legacy, that legacy will not be tainted with generational curses. It will be blessed with healing and overcoming situations so that your children will never experience that. Now, side note, they should know your story so that they can appreciate exactly what they have because you went through that. But for them to not get that same situation that you've been is the goal. It's for your goal to have a better life or even a greater life than you had. That is usually what we strive to be in terms of fathers, mothers, grandmothers, any patriarchy, any matriarchy. That's what we strive for our children to be better than we was, to be the greatest thing that can possibly happen in your life and anybody else's life. That is our goal. So number 5, if you get to 4, number 5 should be not only breaking a curse for yourself, but breaking a curse for everybody else. So everybody else should have that knowledge and wisdom of what you went through so that nobody can repeat those things. And nobody from your lineage downward to, and excuse me, not downward, upward to wherever your future goes, they don't see those things again. And obviously they will have lived their life where they go through their transgressions, and but you want to make sure that it's not the blows, it's not the contusions, the the hurt that you went through. You know what I'm saying? So if you achieve 1 through 4 in anything, then 5 will be your major goal in your future. To break that and make sure that your future is well set up for life. That I think is our goal for everybody. So again, I can only speak on my experiences. So this is the reason I have this outline that I thought of quickly while I was trying to get some Bubble Cools. And Bubble Cools is a chain little Mexican, excuse me, what did they call those? Tex-Mex spots, just like Chipotle and Moe's and Qdoba. I thought about it. I was like, yo, how do we break down certain things to get over father issues, any type of issues, blank issues, whatever? And there's a certain steps to do that. So, like I said, I can only speak on my truth. And this is my truth of father issues. So I start from the beginning. I think this started to happen when I was 15. So at 15, I had a 2-parent family at one point in my life. Well, living with a bunch of people at the crib. Then we moved to a neighborhood to where I had my mom, my pops, and everything like that. And everything was gravy until like 15, 16. Then from that point, we started noticing a couple of things. Well, I was naive. I was playing football, doing all types of, regular adolescent stuff. But I started noticing that my mom was weird. And I don't even think weird in the sense of like, you're just unrecognizable. Weird as in, she started to buck up a little bit. My mom was very quiet, very timid in terms of her life and everything like that. She went through a whole lot. That's a whole nother episode. If you want to talk about mother issues, we have those things. I'm going to go over that. And there's going to be parts to this, by the way, it's because I feel like everybody should share their story about that so that we can learn. But going back to my mama was a timid and very calm lady. Then I started seeing that she was a little bit more aggressive, more going against the grain with my father. And I never seen that from her. And I thought that my mom was tripping. Because when my father was in the crib, I used to look at him on a pedestal. Like the man could do no wrong to me because he used to force me a lot to get good. Excuse me, force me to do good in school. So he used to beat my ass if I had to see, and this is real shit. Like, and so I used to get A's and B's off the force because if not, I was gonna get the belt. You know how that goes. Spanish families, you doing bad, you getting the chancleta, the belt, the chair, like you in the WWE Hell in a Cell type of shit. If you get a C, because it's a failure to them and you failed life in general. And I feel like that's not a way to teach children. Instead of coaching them or trying to improve their status or their education by helping them, you just throw chairs at them. So I had to learn quickly how to get good grades at a very young age. But going back to my mom's basically started to be more aggressive towards my father. So I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is she acting like this? So after she started doing that, I started seeing my father less and less. And he started acting weird. Now, if a 15-year-old, 16-year-old me starting to notice that, where's my pops? Or I would ask my mama, hey, where's my father at? Like, and she'd be like, But she would hide that from me. And I kind of respect it in a sense because she didn't want to hurt me. So she rather have been the villain in a sense of me not knowing. But she did it for a reason. She did it to protect me at a certain point. And when I started seeing this, I was like, okay, I guess my father's working more and I guess he's just, doing other things. And then when I try to spend time with my father's like, oh no, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta go out, I gotta see my friend, I got to help her out and this and the fourth. For me, like I said, naive. Like, okay. So long story short, it was one day. I was asking my pops because Peruvians have Independence Day on July 28th. And usually in Patterson for some reason has this large Peruvian population. And in Patterson, they have the parade. That parade is popping. Mad Peruvian food, obviously the floats, all that. The regular typical Peruvian parade not even Peruvian parade in general that everybody celebrates and wild out and whatever the case is. It was lit. And as a little kid, you're like, yo, I want to go so bad. Like, yo, I see my people, like, celebrate the independence. Like, and my father was refusing for me to go. And I was like, oh, pops, let me go. So I started asking him. And eventually he was like, all right, I'll take you with me. So he took me with him, like a little mad face. Like he was a little upset that he took me. And I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? Besides little things that I noticed, I'm like, bro, he used to, when the little times I see him, he would give me like leftovers of like McDonald's that somebody bit already. So I was like, bro, this man used to give me sandwiches, this and the fourth. Like, that's why I'm big now. Cause I get rewarded for some, good grades. Like, oh, I'll get you McDonald's here and there. You know what I'm saying? But now it's to a point where I'm getting sandwiches bitten from somebody. So now you should have a red flag. But at the time, naive. Like I said, I had my father on the pedestal. So my pops is like, yo, we got to pick somebody up. I got to pick up my friend and we're going to go out to the Peruvian Day Parade. So he picks, his now wife now. I don't want to speak too much on details of who people are. I feel like it should be more discreet. But I'm going to give you as broad details as I can to explain the situation. So his mistress at the time, my father was like, oh, that's my friend. Like, this is so-and-so. And this is, boom, boom, boom. It's my son, this and the fourth. He introduced us and whatever. Cool. So we went to the Peruvian Day Parade. I'm in the back, and he's talking to her like friendly as hell, joking, ha, 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 kiki, kiki. Everything is cool. And I'm over here minding my business. Cause like I said, Can't see nothing wrong. I'm over here excited because I'm a adolescent going to the Peruvian Day Parade, like which everybody be excited. Yo, I want to get Inca Cola. I'm gonna give me some tamales. I'm gonna give me some food. We out here, like we about to get some anticuchos. We out here. You know what I'm saying? So as a kid, you don't notice these things. And he's kiki and kaka by the time he gets to Patterson and everything. So we on the side of the street, and I'm over here wandering around. And usually, my parents are strict, so my parents are trying to keep a watch on me on a lot of shit that I did. But that day, my father didn't give a damn because he was posted up, booed up with the lady, and it wasn't like some he was kissing, dogging her, or giving her the work on in the street, but it was just more of the friendly vibe, like, hey, da da da, yo, you want peoples, and she was following along with it, and everything was cool. But I never peeped it until obviously you play back the tape in time years later, and you're like, damn, I should have noticed. But again, naive. And even now, talking about this, sometimes it unlocks memories. I'm thinking about it now. He was kind of hugging her from behind this shit. I should have been like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? But again, you bring a kid to something that you're so excited about that you don't notice these things until after the fact, that even your unconscious unlocks these traumatic experiences, right? And it's not even traumatic. It doesn't sound traumatic, but the aftermath of everything, then you don't even want to think about that. Even so, like, you're like, damn, fuck, damn, I should have noticed that as a child. Like, but it's not our fault because we're so naive and programmed to be an adolescent, and enjoy the things that you want to enjoy instead of dealing with bullshit like that. So, long story short, as a child, had fun, that day. Took us back. He dropped me off, actually. And then it was like, oh, I'm going to take her back to Santa Forth. So I was like, all right, cool. I told my mama. My mama laughed. She was like, so who did my father bring? It's like, oh, this lady, this Santa Forth. And she's cool. This lady was in the front or whatever. And my mama was like, word. Oh, okay. So, long story short, mama started throwing hints to me and was like, oh, yo, watch your father. And so, again, naive me, and I put him on a pedestal. And this is where brainwashing comes in. A lot of Spanish fathers, when they are doing the cheating, they take the kids as bait towards mothers and try to make it seem like the mothers are doing wrong. This is a common theme in Spanish communities. And I say this not only because of me, and I'm not trying to generalize my situation towards anything, but I've seen this plenty of times. I could have my cousin talk about his experiences. I could have other people talk about the experiences. But I know right now, if you're a Spanish person and you hear this statement that's going to come out of my mouth right now, and I'm going to say that Spanish fathers, when they are cheating, they start blaming everybody else but themselves. The choir says amen. I promise you, you shake your head right now and be like, yo, man, he talking truth. Because this is real shit. This happens in our communities. So going back to the situation, my mom is like starting to throw hints like, okay, I'm glad he got friends, this and the fourth. So, like I said, I'm going to keep this as short as I can. But there's a lot of details to it. So my mama starts to hint to me, it's like, yo, he kind of doing something, dogs. And like I said, put him to a pedestal. And the brainwashing of, oh, I'm here, I'm there, I'm working, I'm doing this, and your mom's tweaking, and this and the fourth. Like he knew what to do and how to do it. If he wanted to get away with something, he would just give me something. Like materialistic things, like if I wanted food, or if I wanted clothes, or if I wanted a jersey. And I was so big in jerseys. Like I had jerseys before they started doing the jersey thing, like way before, like 5th, 6th grade. You can ask some of the people that I know, like, yo, we was young doing it. But he would try to blackmail, not even want to say blackmail, but like ransom me, like, okay, yo, son, I love you, here, boom. So you won't see what you're really doing. And my mom started hitting that. So one day, And I think this is where it gets super juicy. On July 4th, um, I don't remember what happened where my mom and father get into this big ass argument, right? And my father tells me, yo, let's go. So we in the house. And I'm here yelling and screaming in the room. So now we had a 1 bedroom. So I'm in the living room. I'm over here just hearing yelling and screaming because that was the norm at the time. So I was like, all right, cool. They arguing over some bullshit. Never knew what the content was, but it was yelling and arguing with some bullshit in my head. So my pops goes out to the living room, tells me my mom's tweaking. So I'm still naive because, pops saying I don't know what's going on really. It's just that my mom's hinting it, and I'm thinking she's bugging because, whatever, because I have my father on the pedestal. So he's like, yo, I'm going to go get you some sneakers. Come on. So my mom was like, where you going? To me. I was like, Mom, I'm going to, my father, he going to give me some sneakers. And he was like, word? Oh, well, you staying here because I'm not letting your father take you to get some sneakers because he's going to try to leave you somewhere. And I'm like, nah, he not going to do that. He's, that's my pops. Like, pops is going to give me sneakers. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm naive because he's getting me what I want. So he's trying to brainwash me, be like, yo, go and get your mama. And it's exactly worked that day. Because he was like, yo, I'm going to go get you some sneakers. And this and the fourth, I haven't seen you in a minute. Like, we really haven't spent time. So we're going to go to the mall and get you the sneakers. So I'm over here like, oh, cool. My mom will probably correct me because she knows all the details. But I not traumatically, because I think this is over and done with. But like, I don't remember certain things. And because if I know details of certain things, boy, there's a lot of more that needs to be unwound with that. So I think God was gracious enough to give me the space where I erase certain memories. So I can only tell you from what I can remember. And I remember my mom telling me, yo, you're not leaving. I was like, Mama, you're tweaking. Basically, I told her you're tweaking. I'm going with my father to get some sneakers. Like, you're tripping. So I'm laughing because I'm like, yo, you're not stopping me from getting sneakers. Mind you, little side note real quick. I never had Jordans until that point. So my pops told me, and I remember this now. This is crazy. My pops was like, I'm going to get you some Jordans. And I always wanted Jordans. And so I'm like, bro, I'm going to get me some Jordans. So I'm over here, like I said, naive as shit. Just going with the flow. And my mom was like, word? You gonna accompany him knowing I'm telling you why she's not really directly telling me what's up, but she's like, yo, you staying or you leaving? And I'm like, I'm leaving with my father. You bugging. So my mom, angry enough, picks up like one of those like crystal like cup holders type of thing. The Spanish people always getting some crystal stuff, whatever the case is, and she basically, when we're trying to leave, yo, she throws it at the door. Almost hits my father, almost hits me. And I was like, and all you hear is psh, doo, 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 doo. Like if Stone Cold came through, like if we was out here just, you know what I mean? Like, and everybody was wild. That's exactly how it sounded. Like she threw that shit, bow, like, and it hit, and it just, psh, and I just got out. And my father, happily enough, now that I remember this, like he was like, oh, your mom's tripping, this and the fourth. Again, brainwashing, making sure that I know that my mom is tweaking. So now that I went on his side, he bought me Jordan 18s, the black and blue ones. Never had Jordans in my life until that point, right? Bought me Jordan 18s, black and blues. Forgot the name of it, the actual name of it, but that was the first Jordans that I have. And I think those were the first ones from the Jordan 18 line. But nonetheless, I was happy. I was soothed. I was like, bro, I got some Jordans and this and the fourth. And then my father decided to leave me at the house. Oh, I'm going to come back. I'll talk to your moms, but I'm going to come back and do something real quick. I'm going to come back later. And me starting to be 16 years old, developing and everything like that and all that stuff, I started to be like, my mom, why did she throw the glass if she's tweaking and you're not coming back? It started to make sense to me after that. And, certain nights he would, get dressed up and he's happy, he's humming and this and the fourth. And mama's just, you know, angrily enough, like just disregarding him and shit. And I started noticing these things in my mind. I'm like, the fuck? Like, yo, he really, whatever. It was to that point. So then eventually I got dropped back at home. Had a little boo thing on the phone or whatever the case is at July 4th because I went back to the house. The glass was still there, broken and everything like that. My mom was just distressed because, and she tried not to show it, but I'd seen it in her face that she was distressed because she's dealing with a situation that she don't need to be, but I don't think she had escape. So that July 4th happened. And then the more and more days went by and the months went by, my father started to show his ass. And to a point where he ain't spent time with me and none of that shit. Like, he would just go out. He'll go to work, go out, go to work, go out. Yo, son, I told you. Basically showing me away. My mother started being hurt off of this. But she started getting angrier and angrier, right? And then after a while, it was like, bro, like, I started not seeing my pops. And I'm starting to be like, man, nah, but that's my pops. So it started to be a denial thing, right? It's like, nah, maybe because of something. But it wasn't the actual fact. So it started to be more and more noticeable. He started to be more of a dickhead and nonchalant ass motherfucker to be like, yo, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go enjoy myself, this, that, and the fourth. When he will go back into the crib. The few times that we go back to the crib, I started not seeing my pops often. He wouldn't be there and whatever. And then mom was like, yo, your pops is out here. He got another woman, dogs. You noticed that this and the fourth. She started explaining certain things. And other people started coming up too, saying certain things. And like I said, I'm not disclosing most of the information because I feel like everybody that's around my circle should know the whole situation. But basically, they started saying little things. And my mom would relate it to me like, yo, this, that, and the fourth. And so I was starting to put two and two together. But again, the brainwashing that Spanish father does when he's cheating, dog, is very powerful. So, plus my father's actions wasn't helping him. Because he was actually matching the energy that my mom was saying that he was doing. So one day, I got tired. I was like, bro, this man showing his ass. You know what I'm saying? He's out here. He's not at the crib. Obviously, he's going in and out. Like, he always. So this is side note. Part of the swagger that I have is from him. Gotta recognize and accept that. Because he used to always dress with nice clothes. Tommy Hilfiger, had a whole bunch of chains on his neck. That's why I have a bunch of chains on my neck, but I do it for different reasons. I'll explain that in a different episode. But the swag comes from somewhat him. So, but he's doing it in such a way where you're trying to bag a shorty. So you're impressing to the point where I only see this type of swagger in fucking weddings or like fucking when you're going to family functions and you haven't seen people in a while, so you trying to stunt on people, so I gotta dress up this and the fourth. That's was back then before we not gave a fuck about those things. But like now it's you're dressing to impress like every single time, and I'm like, what? So the actions again it started to make sense of what my mom was saying compared to the actions that my father was doing. But again, we repeat this again, and we keep repeating it because this is a major issue. The brainwashing of my father telling me, yo, my mom's tweaking. So one day, she slips up out her mouth and tells me, my mama, tells me, yo, one day I'm gonna take you to where exactly your pops goes. And I'm gonna show you exactly what he does. One day. And then again, the equation is coming back to me. I'm starting to add things up. I'm like, nah, but you know what? My mom started to make sense. So I want to know. All this time I was thinking my mom's tweaking. She probably not tweaking no more, because men have a different aspect. Once they start getting something new, they starting to like get this new energy and everything like that. This is usually how it goes. Like things start being different. Oh, and the butterflies and all that shit. Like, yo, this is exactly how it goes. So my pops was on that. Mom slipped up and said, one day I'll take you. And one day I was just like, fuck this. So my mom, working late night shifts or whatever the case is till 12, she would just work till 12 or whatever. And one day I was like, man, I need to see this for myself, bro. So my mom came home tired as hell, was tired. And I'm skipping stuff here because I want to get the gist of, I want you to get the meat of the potatoes and everything. Pause if you're talking about meat and potato, whatever. But I want you to get the overall body of it. So my mom comes home 12, tired, and I'm like, bro, I'm tired of this. Like, if you telling me this shit, just prove it to me. My mom was like, nah, I'll take you, this, that, and the fourth. And then I was adamant because it started to make sense to me. I was like, bro, you said that you was gonna take me. Now I have every right to cash that in. My mom was like, you know what? Fuck it. So I'm not gonna go into the details of exactly what happened because I'm not here to incriminate nobody. I'm not here to tell anybody anybody's story, whatever the case is. But she showed me. She showed me exactly what the situation was and how it was and everything like that. Where he went, where he stayed, where his mistress was, where all this situation, like this is eye opening for me. And if I ever tell you the clear story of exactly what happened, it's because I fucks with you. But again, I'm not incriminating nobody. I'm not putting anybody on the stand. I'm not doing none of that. I'm not reopening anybody's cases. So we're not doing that. So she showed me. She basically proved herself that this was happening. So in that situation, the pedestal broke down. That statue of a great father that somebody was broke down to a point. And then my mother went into a crisis herself because now everything's on her. Her job wasn't equipped enough to handle all the things that were in the apartment. The whole thing broke down. My mom started to be depressed in a sense. So I'm over here just trying to go to school, just trying to live life or whatever the case is. But this whole situation is happening in my crib. So obviously I can't focus in school. Person that is in almost AP classes, getting good grades and everything like that, can't concentrate in school because there's a situation at home. There's something that, and that as a 16-year-old, you're like, you need some guidance towards something, but there was no guidance really. There wasn't anybody to be like, yo, maybe this situation is going on. Nothing, nobody knew. Like, people knew that was around us, but nobody was able to like step in and be like, yo, Ralph, it's cool, this and the fourth. Nobody knew that. So my mom's went into like a state of depression. And even if I could call it depression, she was just slumped down on. The best I could describe it is when somebody's crying for a situation that this, it's not going to be the same. And you're just slumped in the bed crying, tearing and everything like that. And days go by and you're not seeing life from your own mother. And it's not like life like suicidal type of life, but life in general, like no happiness, no motivation, no nothing. So eventually I had to go to school. I had to do all that type of stuff and everything. And I was also working at the time. So eventually I had to, after days and I think weeks, months after that situation happened and everything like that, after the whole revealing of my father being a cheater to me, to my eyes, that whole situation was happening. I eventually told my mama, we can't be going through this. We have to be better. We have to. You're over here. You're the mother. You're supposed to help me. You know what I'm saying? Like I started getting tired of seeing that. And I think it was a blessing in disguise because I don't know where I got that strength from, but I can only thank God for giving me that strength and that fortitude at the time. Like, and telling my mom that. And my mom was like, oh, you're right. You know what? We have to do that. We have to overcome. We have to find a way. And it was a difficult situation to overcome because mom had to figure out financially how to get everything situated. Then the whole situation that I can't speak on, not that I can't speak on, but I won't speak on in terms of like details. Eventually, long story short, she went through a divorce. Divorce was verbally ugly. Pop said things basically that were untrue. A lot of accusations, a lot of things that didn't make any sense from his part, trying to defend his actions. So not only that, my mom's had to go overcome those situations, she also had to deal with divorce. She had to deal with all that stuff. And then Pops didn't want to give me like child support every time like somebody like would say something. He would be on my ass about, oh, you need to go to school, you need to go to college, da, 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 da. And every time like he wanted to make sure that he basically didn't want to pay her anything. So in most situations, they start looking for every type of way to come scathe free, if even that's the word, scratch free, from a lack of a better term, from a situation where you have to call for bread. Like you have to be the better man and be like, I did this, but it was never that. And it was never that situation. It was more of, I'm going to fight to the death. I'm going to fight for what is entitled to me and what I went through. He tried to become the victim of a fallacy that he tried to create in his head and try to make everybody believe, which is, again, a thing that Spanish people do. They try to create this scenario in their head and then try to build it on their son, daughters, whatever the case is, and then try to create it like if they're the saint. That's how it happens. So eventually, my mom's glowed up, learned to woman up fast, because that's the best way I could describe it. I never seen a person literally on the ground to become one of the greatest women I've ever seen, overcome things that were against her and still provided guidance to me. And even in those situations where she tried to provide guidance to me, the story that I told was basically in a span of from 16 to like 18. I'm telling you that my mom overcame these things and becomes a different woman, a woman of strength, and her spirituality goes up. Now, in between that time, I think after the divorce happened, we went through to therapy for a little bit. And then from there, we kind of relied on God after that. And after we went into our spirituality and started discovering things, from there, we didn't need therapy. That was our opinion. Now, I'm not saying that everybody don't need therapy and everybody doesn't need. No, I'm not saying that. I feel like therapy is very essential to somebody's improvement. If you need to speak to somebody that's outside of your circle, because they can give you a better perspective of things. And they can give you advice without being in the situation. And I think a person that's outside looking in is the best person that can give you that advice. So therapy is very, very important in these situations. And that was a side note. So going back to the situation, my mom, growing up, everybody seeing her become this great woman from that situation, that they give her the utmost respect, even to this day, of overcoming those things and becoming the person that she is. Now that's my mama's side. My side, going back to 18, I still needed guidance. And I still needed somebody to tell me what's really good. My mama's doing her thing. Like, she's going through the divorce. Things are happening. We starting to be a family of two. A big family of two. Now, not saying that we glowed up fast. It took mad time. Because we was against the wall, us too. Like, and I had, like I said, I worked, went to school, graduated high school, all that stuff. In college, they gave you a little bit more freedom. Freedom. Let me let me enunciate that better. Freedom. And with that freedom comes great responsibility. Issue is, I don't know nothing about responsibility but work in school. So when you're unguided, you already went through a situation where your mom went through an ugly divorce and everything like that, came out a great person, still working on it. We're talking about age 18, when I'm 18, whatever, and working through this whole situation. We work on it together. But we still don't see each other eye to eye. Remember when I tell you about the story was that I seen my father on a pedestal, which I didn't see my mom on the pedestal. I see somebody that was submissive, somebody that really just didn't do much at the time before this whole situation happened, that she was very just follow through with certain things. Like, she would just be like, okay, whatever. And then she became this person. So we're basically growing together in a different way. Like, she's obviously way older than me, so she's growing and learning things and going, and I'm just experiencing life. So in that situation, experiencing life, I went through this experience too. So I think that I'm the man, that I got a job, that I'm going to school, that I'm over here just chasing chicks, doing this, doing that. Like I said, I'm not incriminating nothing, but I started just being free and doing stuff that normal 18-year-olds don't do. Like, and just certain things where you're not in your right mind, but you think that you're right. And this is all because one person decided to break a family and do things that he wanted to do. It's the same part where it destroys families. And literally, me and my mom was growing in a separate direction. So we would butt heads. We would heal up. Everything is cool. Yes, in that aspect. We would heal up. And going back to that whole, and I know this was removed a long time ago, but recognizing and forgiving, we had to forgive each other. But it was a whole process because we still butt heads. Like I told you, pedestal, my mom was submissive, so I really didn't see her like that in terms of a mother figure. And now we're butting heads because I went through the same situation that you went through, and I kind of inspired you to lift yourself up and all that stuff. So I thought I was a man. I thought I was out here. I thought I was the man of the house, basically. So my mom obviously wouldn't agree to those things that I thought that I was. That I thought I was the man, so I did what I wanted to. And my mom still wanted to restrict me from a lot of things. So we will butt heads. And those were things that we had to recognize. First part, again, we're going to go through this outline now with me, with my situation. We had to recognize that, one, we're not the issue to each other. We just went through a very hard situation, a traumatic experience to a lot of people, especially when they're young. So we have to recognize we're not the enemy to each other. We got to help each other out, grow. I grow as a son. You grow as a mother. Grow as a woman. I grow as a man. That's usually the situation. But we butt heads because obviously that's not the natural thing to do. What somebody needs is a father figure. Somebody needs a man to guide them as a son, as somebody that. And thank God in those situations, when I was 18 going to college, I had a couple people to be my mentors and be people that were helping me spiritually and become the man that I am today. And I give them all thanks. And I always pray to God for their health and wealth and their well-being because they helped me become the man that I am today. But before then, I was out here just, no, I don't want to say wilding because I'm not the type of person to wild out and did crazy things to get me arrested or something like that. But it was to a point where I thought that I had the world on my fingers, and that wasn't the case. The case was to grow and understand and recognize that we have issues, that we got stuff that we got to deal with. And so me and my mom, again, we had to recognize that, we need each other. And we have to coexist with each other and love each other the way that we need to do as mother and son. So we had to go through that. We had to go through situations where we were butt heads and there were certain things. And she just told me about a story today, was not today, the couple of days ago with my cousin, that she basically stated that I knew you was wilding. I knew you was bugging the fuck out. I knew that you was doing stupid shit. But if God told me not to interfere with that because he has a better plan for you in your life, but you got to learn. And so my mom and her growth, she had to learn to be like, let me step aside and let my son make the mistakes that he needs to make. And hopefully hope to God that he doesn't pay for those mistakes. And thankfully in my life, God protected me from stupid shit. So we had to recognize that, and long story short, in that aspect, recognize that we are not the enemies to each other. We need to be a big family of two. How do we go through it? And then, like I said, there was times where I was wilding. Mom would, try to look for me, whatever the case is, scared to death, but prayed in her little room, in the room that she had, the room that we slept in and everything like that. Pray to God for my protection and my blessing. And eventually, with all the things that I was wilding about, some women things that I'll go into like on other episodes because this is long, but we eventually had to figure out how to coexist, how to love each other unconditionally. And that's what we had to learn throughout life. So we had to recognize that we was butting heads. And we had to learn how to deal with each other's attitudes. So that was a recognizable part for me and my mama, right? And then it gets to a point where part 2 comes in. Part 2 is forgiveness. Now I talked to forgiveness in terms of my mama, and my mama had to forgive me a couple things. So for my mama, part 1 and 2, it was a whole process. But she was with me throughout the way. So obviously it's easier because we had to go through it together. And we had our support of each other. Whether we beefed or not, we still had to support each other. The difficult part of part 2, and this is why I said part 1 and part 2, a lot of times people can fail. Part 1 is recognized. A lot of people don't recognize it. They just skip through it and think that it's cool. But we had to recognize each other that we're not the enemies for each other. We love each other. That's how it gotta be. And number 2, basically, we had to learn how to forgive each other and understand each other to a relationship now that, obviously it's not perfect, but it's 98% peaceful. And we love each other. But that's my mama's side. And we're not talking about mother issues, we're talking about father issues. So the most important part of part 2 of forgiveness is to forgive my father. Now, like I said, this is more difficult because my father thinks, and it's to this day, that my pops never admitted technically that he did what he did. He would inadvertently skip through the process or try to talk about something else. Or and again, this is a Spanish family thing. It's like that. It's you're always blaming the other party. Always. It's never their fault. It's never this and the fourth, whatever the case is. When the whole divorce thing happened and things started to we was beefing. We was beefing for a hot minute. Me and my pops. Cause he said some shit, a lot of things accusing me of certain things. And like I said, I'm not gonna incriminate nobody on nothing nor either put anybody on the stand. But the most difficult part of part two of forgiveness is forgiving the person that transgressed against you. So my mom had a big part of this because she actually started to be like, yo, your pops don't know better. He's a fool like everybody else. And this is way along the road. This is, you're talking about 22, 23, 24, around that range, right? So she's like, yo, talk to your pops. And I still hand in hand, still talk to them little by little, but never about the situation because my pops will always be ducking. He will be out here just playing dodgeball with a lot of shit if I asked him. And in between the time of the divorce and me and more mature enough to confront him, he will always, like I said, dodgeball, ducking, or we will fight each other physically or verbally. So it comes to a point where you're looking for forgiveness from somebody on that side, not realizing, going back to the original point of years ago of this episode about forgiving yourself. And it's because forgiving yourself and accepting that that person did that to you and that you should have that anger and that resentment towards that person because they did that to you. And the first thing is accepting the fact that you are accepting of this. Like I said, the monk story. The monk story said, he said, if I accept that gift, then it becomes me. I accepted that and became, I don't want to say a wild boy, but somebody of a loose cannon in my early college years. So I had to understand that my father might never tell me that he did something, or that he might one day tell me, son, forgive me for what I've done. I never got that. So I had to understand that now that I know I'll never get that, how do I take this away from me? And this is part two. Part two is basically the most difficult part when this comes from somebody else. It's starting to understand that human beings do stupid shit in stupid situations arising from something that they think is not pure to them. If that makes any sense. I want to rephrase it better, just so you can understand. Temptation looks good when there is a situation that you think is mundane or repetitive or anything like that, and something new pops up, boop, and then we all fall for that shit because that's something new. And people are fools of falling for that type of stuff, especially when they think that they're not happy in a relationship with somebody that just chilled at home and did everything at home. And, you know, but my pops wanted my moms to be somewhat of a slave to him. And my mom's wasn't never built that way. You know, she was submissive, but she was never built that way. So I guess he wasn't happy enough with that he got to step out. And most of us fall for that type of shit. So learning that, and then learning that people make mistakes, and learning that I make mistakes in myself. I've, repeated things that my pops did too. Like, in terms of like cheating and stuff like that throughout time and whatever the case is. And this comes with the issues. And I had to understand, well, shit. I repeated the same conduct that my father did. Like, bro, why the fuck does he not deserve forgiveness. Shit, forgive me, myself, for accepting that and repeating that conduct. Lord, forgive me for that. I want to make sure that I never repeat this shit ever again, especially to another female, to another woman, or whatever the case is. I don't want her to go through the same shit that I went through. I don't want her to go through the same shit my mom went through. So I'm not going to be somebody to repeat that shit. So I had to learn to understand that human beings are stupid sometimes. And then in this case was a lot of times. But still, some human beings commit mistakes. Life mistakes, as we was talking about earlier, reiterating the earliness, is open to lifetime mistakes and lessons. We repeat them sometimes. And especially in having these issues of having father issues and everything like that, we repeat them. So I had to forgive myself so that I can learn from the mistakes that one, my father did, and two, that I might repeat and that I did repeat. So eventually, throughout my time and period, I was like, bruh, my pops did some bullshit. He ain't know how to act. It's caused to his father issues and his mother issues. You know what I'm saying? So who am I to be a person to judge him and uphold him for his actions when he ain't know any better? Again, going back to the whole situation, forgive those who trespass against us. Forgive them for they do not know. Bible verses. So in that situation, like, he's not exempt from forgiveness. I had to forgive him because he don't know better. And plus, I had to forgive him because of me. Because I took that gift and I took the repetitive conduct and I had to get that away from me. So I had to give that gift away. And I conquered part 2 off of that. Because I tried to have conversations about that and never materialized. But it was for me. It was more about my sanctity and my, if that's even the word, my sanctuary, my peace, my tranquility. It was about that. So never responded to me about, son, forgive me for what I've done. Hopefully your mom's forgiven. None of that. So I had to forgive myself. Then eventually you don't need the forgiveness of the person that transgressed against you, because you already have the peace that's inside you. You good. You good money. So Pops, if you hearing this show, you good money. I'm good with you. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that I'm gonna be, kumbaya and everything like that. That I never said that shit. You can forgive somebody and never have that same relationship ever again. Like, it happens. But it's a peace of mind for you that you could forgive those who transgress against you and yourself for not repeating those things. So that's part 2. Part 3 was the healing process. Healing process is not much to explain. It's just going through life, living life how I lived as a young adult, 18 to whatever age, and understanding that it takes time for these things to heal. It's about time. Whenever you're going through something, it takes time for you to get over that. Please. And this is separate from me, because I'm going through the guideline of my life. But 3 is not only for me to telling myself, and I'm going to hear this back again through this podcast, heal. It takes time. Please get that through your heads. It takes time. Don't rush yourself into things knowing that you're not healed up yet. Knowing that you can't handle situations. Just take time for yourself. People heal differently. I get that part, but it always takes time. Whether you heal with somebody or whatever the case is, it takes time. Take your time. And I had to take mine to understand and learn things. And I also had to learn things through experience too. So father issues taught me how to, from conquering part 1 and part 2 and part 3, I had to make changes to never repeat that again. Like I said, this goes hand in hand from part 3, which is healing, and part 4 is taking action. There's certain instances that I had to stop myself because I felt like I was going to repeat the same conduct that my father was doing. And I had to ask for forgiveness to the person that I was about to repeat the conduct to and everything like that. Like I had to work on myself. I had to be the same person to not repeat those things. And what I mean by repeating, and I'll keep it short because I think this is another episode too. There's a lot of episodes and I feel like it's gonna rise out of this. But it's the cheating part. Like we all have infidelity issues installed in us, whether we like it or not. And like I said, that's a whole nother episode. But going back to what I was saying, it's taking action. It's knowing that you heal and there's scars. And those scars sometimes, even with physical human skin, there are scars that are there for life and sometimes can reopen with the right incision. And we got to learn how to patch that up to a point where that skin could be strong to the T where it won't ever happen again. And this is where when you do master 3 and 4, 5 comes into play, which is breaking generational curses, breaking curses of father issues. So me personally, healing is basically like in my situations, like I was a womanizer at one point in time. So I had to take breaths and spaces in between relationships to understand that I kind of need the healing. But I've been in relationship I can't speak today. But I've been in relationships most of my life. So this time period that I have is very essential for my healing because I didn't have the breathing room that I had before. Like either I was in love with somebody or I was talking to somebody or I was out here just, being a little scroty, you know what I'm saying? Just like my cousin be saying or whatever. But I have to understand that time is essential. The 3 and 4 is all about time because healing is where your God sometimes tell you, yo, sit your stupid ass down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Breathe. And then you can still work on yourself with sitting your ass down. So I'm going to use my brother's words. For me, healing was taking time. And taking time with father issues, not repeating the same issues that my father committed to my mama. I had to work on those things. And so now at this point in time, 3 and 4 for me, I talked about 1 and 2 extensively. But 3 and 4 for me, to keep it short, and because this is healing, we can get into a whole different topic. Healing is, everybody's different with healing. For me, it's time. For me, it's time and understanding. Understanding that you can be better and you can learn from your mistakes. And time is just being patient, learning about patience and everything like that. So for me, I just been breathing. I just been well. I told my cousin the other day, I was like, yo, bro, it's gonna be one day I think it's beginning of next year. And not because I want to be a New Year's resolutionist motherfucker. Like, I feel like those fail all the time because, everybody has a new year knowing that it's going to be another new year coming up. Like, you could fuck up and be like, oh, it's another year. No. It's about, like I said in the beginning, everybody knows how to do things. It's just about doing it. You know. You feel like, for example, you know how to cook. If you don't cook, but you still know how to cook, it's just a matter of doing it. If you want to meal prep and you know how to meal prep, but you lazy enough to be like, you know what, fuck it, let me just go to Chipotle and buy that big ass catering thing that costs that's very inexpensive to people, and just do that, then that's on you. Like, you know what it is. It's just a matter of doing it. Going back to the original point, so I told my cousin, I said, yo, after New Year's, I think I'm gonna be out here. I think I'm ready to go into what I want to say my last relationship and understand that once I am in a committed relationship, I become that committed relationship. I show those attributes that can provide a successful relationship. So I told my cousin that. I was like, oh, cuz, like, yo, we about to be out here. And he was like, man, why I can't be now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I need time. So I'm taking my time, which is the healing. And the action is, start talking. Start, you know, getting that mouthpiece working. You know what I'm saying? Pause again on everything, but like trying to like explore different things and trying to see what works, what doesn't. So in those situations, that's exactly what we're doing. So that's part 3 and part 4 of father issues for me. But I think we already mastered all of that because we're in a space where we can talk about it freely. And part 5 is the most important thing. I think it's the shortest part. Part 5 is breaking curses. And with breaking curses, what that means is whatever knowledge that you have, whatever choice that you make, please share that with somebody. And understand that what you share might help them. It might bring an inspiration to go through 1 through 4, recognize, forgive, heal, and take action. And then break the curse for themselves and somebody else. The more you're a positive influence in somebody's life, the more you will shine with others. And others will teach others. And eventually this becomes a positive world if it repeats. So breaking the curse is going through 1 through 4, recognize, forgive, heal, take action. And then teaching somebody or guiding somebody. Not only for yourself, but for your sanctity. Again, I can't even find the word. I think I'll be confusing Spanish and English sometimes. But for your livelihood. Because your purpose in life is for a reason. And you'll find out that reason one way or the other. But breaking a curse for other people is amazing. But first, most importantly, yourself. So I'm going to go through that process real quick in terms of breaking a curse. Once you recognize, forgive, heal, you take action, you get everything situated, your future is ahead of you. You make sure that number 4 intertwines with number 5. You take action. You make sure that whoever's your future, whether it's your wife, husband, spouse, child, children, adopted children, anybody's in your future, doesn't go through that. Doesn't go through the curses that people have brought that to. The father issues, the mommy issues, the daddy issues, all that shit. Like, make sure they don't go through that. Because it's your responsibility. Once you have that lesson in your head, it's your responsibility for others to learn as well. And especially that you have that instilled in you, you could be a positive influence. Again, what I was saying before. Positive influence that you can make somebody shine out there. And it's all because of you. So part 5 is breaking the curse. And making sure that your future doesn't repeat the same things that you did. Teach them. And it's always about the kids because you as yourself, as your individual that's listening, you're responsible for the future. So even if you went through your thing and it's as painful as it is, as traumatic as things go, you don't want that to happen to anybody else in the future. So literally, you have to be the one. And I had to tell myself that too, because I know me and my mom went through it. And I know that when I have kids, I don't want them to go through the same shit. So I'm going to make sure that my thought process and my love is towards my future kids. And that will be one of them is teaching them that. So generational curses. You break the curse. You teach your future that. And that's number 5. Breaking out of it. Yourself, once you do recognize, you forgive, you heal, you take action again. And I keep repeating these things because I want you to take that into consideration. Make it on your own list, your own words. Because it's not only father issues that we deal with. It's all types of issues that we have right now. We have the Israel-Palestine situation, how the U.S. is on some bullshit, how, we still deal with police brutality, we still deal with discrimination, we still will deal with Islamophobia, anti-Semitic things. Like, we still with race, we still deal with racism every day. We still deal with a lot of shit, and I felt like that's kind of a guide in life, those things. And you learn it through the Bible, the Quran, anything that you deal with. You have these type of situations where you recognize a problem, understanding that there is a problem, how to overcome it, and then teach the future to not repeat those things. So that's number 5. Number 5 for me, you have that already, that power, go out there and do it. That's what I recommend everybody to do. So I started doing this because I feel like this is not only going to express emotions and feelings and everything like that, but I feel like we should be teaching people if we have the knowledge to do so. And I feel like this would be a great chance of doing it. My recommendation of, if you get stuck in one of those steps, therapy does help. Therapy is one of the greatest things I think people can take advantage of, whether you have life insurance or you could find a way. And therapy doesn't come in like a clinical sense. You could find therapy through different people, whether you need to talk to somebody as a friend about your situation. But the most essential thing is to talk about it. Talk about your issues. Talk about what you go through. Because the better that you talk about it, the more that you heal up, the more that you get stuff out your chest, and you become a better person that way. So there are a couple of things that I'm going to proceed further with this episode. What I am going to do is I'm going to try to organize somebody else to talk about this situation. This is part 1 of Father Issues. And that's only a glimpse of what I went through. There's a whole lot of other things that, I went through and everything like that. But I want a different perspective with somebody that can show you how to do things and what to do. And it's all about learning experiences. It's all about different people learning from different things and learning lessons from each and every one person, so that you be knowledgeable enough to just spread it across the world. So I think the next thing would be having my cousin talk about father issues if he wants to. But this is only the beginning. I thank you so much for your time. If you listen to this like a motherfucker, there's so many pauses and recordings and different things, because I'm very meticulous with recordings. So if you listen to this whole thing, I greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate the support, the future love, the future support, and everything. This is all about you guys. It's all about you. It's all about betterment of everybody. Next thing is probably trying to bring my cousin on, or we're going to talk about something else, but this is not over. Father Issues, Spanish version. This is the first episode. This is probably going to be the first of many. I'm going to try to get a situation where we do audio first, try to test that. And if I can explore into video, we could do that too. That would be more raw, more unedited in a sense, because I can edit these things out and be meticulous with the audio tracking. But video, I rather talk about certain things and be more structured into that. So this is just like how we're learning about dealing with things. I'm learning about how to do this shit too. So I thank you for the future support. Thank you for everything. God, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to record myself so that somebody could hear this out and either learn from this, hear this, take this into their mind, and let them heal and let them be a better them. God bless. Thank you guys so much for everything. We are coming back soon with more. So stay tuned. This is Infinitive Sauce Talk. Holla at me.